Welcome to another episode of Assembling Titans. This week we face the Buffalo Bills in Nashville, following a very impressive win in Atlanta versus the Falcons, 24-10. Buffalo, just to get it rolling, and I'm gonna certainly go through more statistics because I believe that fans love statistics. Um, I believe more in situational stats where, what do they like to do third and short within the 5 yard line in the red zone. I like those kind of stats because overall stats don't always tell the correct story. People, basically it's just fluff for most people to share um, the upcoming week of the game to kind of give the game some type of, underlying storyline, which really oftentimes, if you look at anybody or any person that shares statistics or any type of whatever, very rarely does that come to life. I'm more of a person that, and it's part of my brand, that I like to share statistics if I do, or really just things that get to the core of how it will reflect the scoreboard, not giving you what I like to call intellectual highs, and giving you numbers, because we as people love to view numbers and try to give it some type of credence. The fact of the matter is every game is different. A team could be the leading rushing team in the league, but play a team and then not rush for that many yards. So it just gives you an indication that they have the possibility, just like any other team. It's an any given Sunday type of league. So I will include some stats today for those types of people, and I'll try to tie it into how it tangibly affects the game anyway. This Buffalo Bills team on offense is incredibly physical, in my opinion, very old fashioned. They'll line up in 21, 22 personnel with the fullback and just pound it at you. Frank Gore's averaging almost 5 yards a carry. His backup, Devin Singletary, who was a rookie, who's been out, for the past couple games with a hammy, but he's averaging, I kid you not, almost 13 yards a carry. And he's every bit of the LaShawn McCoy comparisons that he's getting. Now, the juke moves, the speed. McCoy is a little bit, we know McCoy is going to probably be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done at some point. But Devin Singletary certainly has those juke moves and contact balance like him. And then you got TJ Yeldon at that running back position that can catch out of the backfield and is basically a very poor man's version of Le'Veon Bell when it comes to utility back, using him to catch the ball, big, runs very high. He struggles in pass protection, though. You saw that in the last play of the game versus the Patriots. He wasn't able to pick up a blitz and got Matt Barkley basically a hurry, a sack slash. It could be seen as probably a fumble or interception. I think it's deemed as an interception, but Kyle Van Noy got to the quarterback because TJ Yeldon couldn't pick up the blitz or pick up the block. So this running back core overall, if anybody gets injured or if they're in the rotation, run back by committee type of thing, which if Singletary is healthy and ready to go, they'll be that. Anybody that's in can do damage, and that's something that the Tennessee Titans in short stints haven't been able to shore that up over a collective canvas of a season. They bottled up Devontae Freeman pretty well. Leonard Fournette, Jordan Wilkins, and Marlon Mack during those Jacksonville and Indianapolis games were able to break loose. The first game, Nick Chubb, and company, Hilliard was pretty much held intact. So Titans have to stay steadfast in that run stopping game because, this is a team that is committed to the run, and I believe that that's their game plan this game. whether Josh Allen plays or not, I believe that they'll rely on Frank Gore and Devin Singletary to kind of carry them. Excuse me. Josh Allen, big, fast, strong quarterback. Um, and I say fast loosely, but he's a very athletic quarterback that can cause problems for any defense simply because of his athleticism, big size, and rocket arm. Now, is that rocket arm accurate all the time? Not always. Does it have the best ball placement? No, it doesn't either. Does it have the best decision making? No, it doesn't have. But you never know which Josh Allen you're going to get. Sometimes you see, the second coming of Ben Roethlisberger during his best years, and sometimes you see, a Phillip Rivers without accuracy. And I don't know what that would look like, but that's Josh Allen when he's not hot. So when it comes down to that, the Tennessee Titans have struggled with a little bit of quarterback mobility this year, whether it was Gardner Minshew manipulating the pocket, avoided pressure within the pocket. The same with Jacoby Brissett. The thing with Josh Allen is he can do that and he can run past the line of scrimmage and do damage in that way. And then Matt Barkley, he's a guy that's pretty much the typical backup, decent arm. He can run that offense. He's been there a while. He knows the offense. He can run it, and he's not going to purposely force footballs into places that they're not supposed to go simply because he knows that he cannot do it. So that could be a bonus to this Bills offense, just simply because they haven't had a quarterback that just kind of plays game manager. They've had Josh Allen back there drilling it and getting, turning the ball over essentially. So you look at the statistics of those players. Josh Allen, he's at 60% completion percentage. Matt Barkley finished at 56%. So that's 60% is usually the foundation mark where you want your quarterbacks to be. Matt Barkley only had, a few quarters to show that. As I mentioned, the running back stats, the yards per carry that they're averaging, which is pretty crazy. They have a pretty decent set of wide receivers as well. John Brown, Cole Beasley, one's quick twitch, slot guy, good speed. One's super speedy and has those same quick twitch qualities, which I expect them to run. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of the first plays that they run is to try to take a deep shot with John Brown, hopefully matched up in their case with Adoree Jackson, just simply because they've seen, you look at Titans tape from preseason to current, you've seen you attack Adoree early, you might get a touchdown via Markel Michael in the Philadelphia Eagles game this preseason, during August, or you're gonna get a defensive pass interference, just like in the Colts game. So if you attack him early before someone riles him down and says settle down, you might get an easy 7 points or opportunity for points. So I expect that to be early. I think that the Titans need to be, informing Adoree of that, or any receiver, because John Brown's fast. It doesn't matter who's really covering him. So they're going to take a shot early in the game, I feel, especially when the Titans know that, they're a running team. Tight end Tyler Kroft might not go, so Dawson Knox is going to get his share of targets. He's averaging 18 yards a catch. That's pretty impressive for the rookie. He's from Tennessee, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be buying tickets. He's going to have his own crowd here, supporting him. But he's just a physical wide receiver, somebody that I watched during the draft process. Really enjoyed his tape as a blocker. Has really developed as a pass catcher, and that's usually what you want to see. Obviously what you want to see when you watch a guy that predominantly excelled at run blocking develop into a pass catcher. That's definitely a bonus. They signed Lee Smith from the Raiders earlier in the offseason, who guy that I was looking at for the Titans as well, just kind of like a Luke Stalker type that is an exceptional run blocker, can pass protect as well. They honestly keep Lee Smith in a lot during those times to kind of pass protect. Um, and this offensive line with Mitch Morrison in the middle, uh, Feliciano and Quentin Spain, and left tackle Deion Dawkins, right tackle Cody Ford, another rookie that I like, who could play guard or tackle, preferably right tackle, who is doing well in run blocking as expected, but struggling in pass pro. So it's a situation where they're going to probably have to help him a lot if Cam Wake is ready to go. I don't think it's not looking too good for him going in this game. So, if I was the Titans, I'd have Harold Landry moving around a lot, because at this point, him, Rashaan Evans, um, you could send Jaylen Brown on the edge at times. Um, Sharif Finch to me is more of like a raw run stopper, can get to the quarterback as well, but you want to kind of move them. Both of them, left tackle and right tackle, aren't doing the best job at pass protection, but certainly the rookie, you want to probably exploit that advantage, that situation there over there by Cody Ford's side, and as well as Feliciano. He's not doing the best job either in pass pro. Better at run blocking, obviously the team success, but really Frank Gore is really the driving force for this offense. And then it sets up everything. Like I said, Cole Beasley, John Brown, they're getting double-digit target shares pretty much every game. They're nearing 10 targets every game. Robert Foster and Isaiah McKenzie and Zay Jones, you can't forget about them. Isaiah McKenzie, extremely fast. Robert Foster, fast as well with good size. Zay Jones, an athletic guy with length. So it's a good receiving core, underrated receiving core, to be completely honest. These guys have a great variation of skill set, and they can take advantage of unsuspecting secondary if you're not ready, if you underestimate them, certainly. So some of the Titans have to take advantage of them passing downs, running downs, because overall they're the more talented team. I think player for player, they're more talented on both sides of the ball. Once we get to defense, they do have some stellar players, don't get me wrong, but Tennessee Titans should keep them at bay, besides like those long plays where John Brown or Cole Beasley gets loose, or even Robert Foster, if they do gadget plays with Isaiah McKenzie as well. So Titans got to look out for that kind of stuff. Situationally, they're going to Gore in most short yardage situations. They really like to like I said, get that target share. Cole Beasley and John Brown during certain situations. I'd say that Beasley is their guy when they need to move the chains. John Brown is their shot play guy. But it's almost even about how they use these guys in certain situations. So some of the Titans, you can't sleep on this team. I expect to be a physical game, and the Titans better be ready for a physical run football game. Shifting to the defensive side of the game of the football. Micah Hyde, you got to start there. Probably grading out, probably the best safety so far this season. And, I've been a big fan of, obviously Kevin Byard, having a class with them. And I always say that it's not to name drop or to clout chase, but it is what it is. I've seen the guy in person, do his thing in terms of, studying the game of football and the passion. You don't meet many people, in my world, in my shoes, you don't meet many people who's as passionate about the game of football as myself, and he shares that same passion. So he's still one of the best safeties in the league, but just watching Micah Hyde's tape, his leadership, his communication, some of the plays he's making, he's probably right at this current moment the best safety in this league. in terms of grading versus his pass grades, his run defense grades. He's right there right now as we speak. Week 4 going into week 5, one of the best, if not the best. Jordan Poirier is extremely a guy that I like coming out of Oregon State. Played corner, plays safety now. It's extremely smart. Football IQ is out the roof. Somebody that, obviously Sean McDermott trusts that secondary a lot with Tre'Davious White, another guy that I liked him in the 2017 draft in the first round. And he's balling out of control. He's a player that probably can travel, will travel. And what I mean by that is he'll probably play man versus the Tennessee Titans top receiver, whoever they deem that to be, Corey Davis or A.J. Brown. It will probably be Corey Davis. Or it could be A.J. Brown, depending on how they feel about whatever player. I think that based on their personnel, they'll probably want to embody similarities. They probably want to shadow or travel with Corey Davis to just kind of try to eliminate him from the game with using Tre'Davious White, using other guys to just kind of, use maybe A.J. Brown's inexperience to their advantage in some degrees. That's probably how they'll work it. Matt Milano is a linebacker, strong side linebacker that is playing everywhere. He played everywhere last year in terms of, he's all over the field. Even the game in Buffalo, he was playing out of his mind. And then Tremaine Edmonds, the second-year guy who's improved tremendously. Guy that I said, watching his tape last year coming out, thought he was just an athlete playing linebacker, really just finding his way. If you were able to develop him, he certainly would be a great player. And I think the Buffalo Bills have invested that time, and they're seeing a below-average player become above average, slightly above average player. And he's certainly somebody that you cannot overlook with his length, his sideline ability. Much like Matt Milano, these guys have motors. The veteran Lorenzo Alexander, they're moving him around. He's still a thumper in the run game. They in certain downs, passing downs, they even use him on the line at end in that defensive tackle for whatever reason. I don't know. It's part of their scheme, but I've seen on more than one occasion him on passing downs, on the interior defensive line. So, maybe it's part of the scheme, part of the disguise, dropping people, sending people, whatever, but they trust their linebackers. Very sound group. So you got to bring it on offense for the Tennessee Titans. Jerry Hughes on the right, their right end, left end. They're going to have Trent Murphy or Shaq Lawson, who Shaq Lawson really liked, a very disciplined player. Trent Murphy is probably their version of our Brent Urban. Trent Murphy and Brent Urban, very tall guys that can, give you good reps, good run stopping reps, and provide length. Ed Oliver, Starler Tulele, the defensive tackles. Ed Oliver is finding his way in the NFL in terms of just trying to get, the reins down in terms of trying to be an NFL player, but just watching his tape, knowing what he's capable of. Great short area quickness, great punch and pack to his pass rush. I think he can block and shed in the run game. I think he's underrated in terms of an impact player, because I think that you can use him in certainly different ways. I think that, if you lined him up on the edge a little bit, with, in a 2-point stance, I think that he could even do that well. Maybe not consistently, but I think he can win his one-on-ones there. I think on the inside, he gets swallowed up. And that's why I think that Jordan Phillips is playing a little bit better. Number 97, that's playing a little bit better on the defensive line, probably their best defensive tackle, Star Latulele, is playing a good minutes, good energy guy, but not necessarily making an impact. But he's a big body that's gonna take up space. So that's certainly just looking at this defense. I'm excluding somebody on purpose, and that's their right corner. Levi Wallace, where I believe that's a place where the Titans can certainly exploit, especially with their bigger wide receivers. More athletic wide receivers. Sending AJ Brown or Corey Davis when he's not being followed by Tre'Davious White over there, and just throwing the ball up and seeing who can win. Levi Wallace is like 180, 170. 5'11", 5'10" type guy that where, you look at weak links on their defense, and that's a glaring person. Now, I'm not discrediting, his ability whatsoever. I think that he's a solid player, because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be out there to some degree. I just think just looking at it, you could probably take advantage of that size differential, especially Taylor Lewan being back. You can definitely run your stretch plays over there. And if he's a guy that they're depending on to make a tackle versus, a 6'3", 245-pound running back, I think that you like your chances there as well. You like your chances with Derrick Henry versus most cornerbacks, but you get those stretch plays, those outside toss plays, especially to the left side. Watch the Titans run to the left side a lot. I haven't talked about Jerry Hughes much, but obviously, I think it's known he's an elite pass rusher, not as much as run defense. So I see the Titans running left a lot and just working off of that, working left, rolling out right, play action left, rolling out right, and just kind of using that back and forth, just trying to, impose your will in that way. And I think that these linebackers, they show effort in their coverage as well. Like, a lot of times, they're a team that's kind of defensively innovative, kind of like the Tennessee Titans in terms of coverages. That you really can't really tell what they're in a lot of times. Pre-snap, post-snap, you kind of see the picture getting clearer. They don't give away like man coverage. If you motion, they don't necessarily follow. They slide, and then they kind of communicate from the center on to wherever the guy just motioned, and they communicate how they're going to handle man from there. Now, doesn't mean they will never follow. I'm not saying that. Don't hold me to that. But a lot of more defenses are doing that, where what I've noticed, especially with the Bills defense just preparing for this game, was that they sometimes don't follow. They do a great job communicating in bunch situations and pick routes, who gets who, so they never really get intertwined and stuff like that. They're just a veteran, solid group that the Tennessee Titans are going to have to really grow up with, because versus teams like this, the Tennessee Titans usually don't do well. And you can look no further than, Marcus Mariota's career QB rating, quarterback rating versus the Buffalo Bills, 60.7 rating versus the Buffalo Bills. Not quite up to par with his current quarterback rating that's in the 100s. So what the Buffalo Bills do well is, like I said, they're very sound. They don't beat themselves, and most of your passes that you're going to have to make is in tight coverage. And that's something that, we have to have context with when we talk about how well Marcus Mariota played. You look at the yardage of separation during his more prolific throws in that game. He had 5, 6, 7 yards of separation. You look at the third and 15 conversion to Corey Davis. It was pitch and catch. He threw it. Corey Davis literally, just leaned forward and got the first down. You look at the 55-yarder. Yes, it looked like it was man, and AJ Brown got that separation. But like I'm saying, you're playing pitch and catch at that point. And the thing is, with the Buffalo Bills, they don't put themselves in that type of situation. You're supposed to hit those as NFL quarterback. Great game, not taking anything away from Mariota. But, this has been, and this is something that I will definitely do a podcast about, but it's been pretty fickle, pretty fickle NFL season in terms of how high and low we are with guys from week to week basis. And we just kind of just throw away the true analysis, the real analysis. That's why I say stats. You don't hear me do stats a lot. People really want me to do this, what I could improve upon, and which I expect to do with my following, and to challenge myself to get better, is the X and O's part. But the statistics part, it's really just for the analytical minds that love that intellectual numbers high. Because at the end of the day, he had a good game, but guess what? It's a whole new week. The best rushing team can have a bad rushing performance. A good passing team can have a bad passing performance. A poor passing team can explode. So it really the credence behind some statistics or most statistics don't really matter. A lot more is the hidden statistics, situationally, tendency, like things more tied to human nature. Like, sometimes people get habits, like even offensive coordinators and quarterbacks, they have habits, they have favorite plays to go to. Teams in general might not have too much success doing this, but they have a lot of success doing that. And they'll rather lose trying to do what they've been successful at practice in previous games and try something new. So statistics like that matter. Statistics like that have concrete, context. So that's really what, I feel, how I feel about this game, and just some of the matchups going back and forth. Time of possession is another thing. The Buffalo Bills have done an excellent job possessing the football. And usually when you have a good running game, you do. Special teams wise, Andre Roberts, Hauska, I think they're doing well in terms of kicking field goals, making them. And Andre Roberts is certainly a dangerous kick returner. He's a guy that, during the free agency process, I certainly watched some of his returns last year when he was with the Jets. Just extremely freakish in terms of that. So it's something Tennessee Titans are going to have to watch, and really be disciplined with. So this is a type of game that's going to be hitting yardage, field position, back and forth type of game. And I really see it, really being a type of game that's gonna struggle to get in the 20s. And if it does, it's gonna be in the early 20s. But the score of 17-13 comes to mind, Tennessee Titans. That's if Matt Barkley plays, 17-13. And that's just saying some of the things that I think they're going to do. 17-13 Tennessee Titans. I think they get a turnover or two. And if Josh Allen does play and Andre Roberts is involved in the game plan in terms of, you're going to get your opportunities during punts. Tennessee Titans are going to punt the football in this game, probably more than they'd like. They're going to probably kick off the ball to Andre Roberts if he's back there, and he should be. If he gets his returns and put them in great field position, and Josh Allen plays, uses his legs, I see the Buffalo Bills winning 20-16. But really, I really believe it's like a hidden yardage game, a turnover, ball control game, possession game. Special teams will be important. Brett Kern has been playing out of his mind. I really don't try to hype up special teamers. I guess you can say I'm somewhat superstitious with that. I really don't like it, because as soon as I might say something, special teamers are like, I don't know, they're like whatever sport is about being streaky, and their trend in terms of how successful they are is more prevalent than any other position in football. When they're trending, like what I mean, when they're trending, like they're on it, they're hot. But when they're low, they are low. And it's like it's a mindset thing. It's one of the more, trend-worthy positions, kicker, punter in the league. A quarterback can have a bad game, pop right back up. And it's kind of can be like this or can be steady. But with special teamers, specialists, it's like this. And then when they're down, they're down. They rarely ever return to prevalence or any type of relevancy whatsoever. It's done when they're done. So I think the Titans should ride this high. You don't want to punt the football, but if you're going to punt the football, it's good that you have Brett Kern back there. And then, obviously with the Bills, you have a guy like Andre Roberts who's dangerous, man. I'm telling you, he's dangerous. So you probably been told to kick away from him, kick it out of bounds, and you got the guy to do it. So 17-13 Titans in a slugfest, or 2016 Bills if Josh Allen can muster up and play, which I don't think he's going to play. And Andre Roberts is a huge X factor. If there's an X factor for the Bills, it's Andre Roberts in the return game, because we already know Frank Gore, John Brown, and Cole Beasley are going to get their share, because it's been known. Situationally, it's been known. Target share percentage is another important stat. Who gets the ball most often? That a lot of people don't talk about that. I think they're literally in thirds in terms of how they get the ball, Brown, Beasley, and Gore. And then with the Titans X factor, I believe that Marcus Mariota is the X factor, because he's the guy that hasn't played well versus this defense. They play zone. They come from that cover 3 lineage, but they also do some other things well. They're not the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons are extremely porous. They're an extremely porous defense right now. This team is not. It's one of the best defenses in the league. So X factor, Marcus Mariota, in terms of, for those that thought that he's the savior. And I know this sounds critical of him, but if you go back and look at the statistics when Marcus Mariota plays a predominantly zone team, specifically cover 3, he does well, because in those type of defenses, throws are clearly defined. You're finding zones. You're letting it rip. You're usually just thrown into a void or space, as opposed to when someone is man on somebody. You have to have pinpoint ball placement and actually lead receivers and have anticipation. Now, there were some throws in that Falcons game that he was on point. And I even mentioned that it's not only him having comfort and just kind of seeing the ball go into people's hands and seeing Yak and gaining confidence in that zone scheme or versus that zone scheme. It was also mechanically, I saw a difference that nobody's going to talk about, of course, because they don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. But, one of the things that quarterbacks do to switch up accuracy is obviously footwork, weight transfer, and, this is being technical, but tucking that left. A lot of quarterbacks you'll see do this, and I call it the high five. They'll throw and you'll see that left hand still open. What that does is it kind of throws off your pass. A lot of quarterbacks that do that, they have their passes sail. But quarterbacks, you look at Tom Brady, you look at Drew Brees, who are more pinpoint accurate, especially on what I call drive throws, more throws that you have to be more precise, more zip on the ball. You'll see them tuck that left hand more, which causes more torque, and that weight distribution is on point. And that's what I saw from Marcus Mariota. And obviously, yes, the line has something to do with that. Better protection. You feel better in your mechanics. You don't feel like somebody's about to come knock you out. Then you kind of, you don't get loose with your mechanics. You're more tight because you're clean in the pocket. I get that. But at the end of the day, that's what I saw. And that's why some of those passes had more zip and were pinpoint. And Mark, if he plays like that versus the Bills defense, I think that you have to start saying, okay, this guy's starting to get it. He got 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. And, yes, the Tennessee Titans have fumbled 8 times. So they're on the edge of being like and most teams are, You get lucky, the ball bounces your way, but the Tennessee Titans have to learn how to protect the football. That's in the quarterbacks, when it's in the quarterback's hands with running backs, it was very uncharacteristic of Derrick Henry, especially to fumble the football. But it's just the type of game where you have to be realistic and add context to your tape study and statistics. So don't get carried away with statistics. What matters is tape watching. What matters is knowing the opponent's roster, top to bottom, knowing the strengths, and knowing based on tape how they've used those players' strengths. Every week's different. So thanks for tuning in. I mean, I think I've given a pretty good breakdown, and I even had a live on my Twitter at BU_scouting. You should check it out. I'm just going over my tape study. That this week, I admit to the people that watched that, I was sleepy, no excuses. But I feel like a lot of people like it, but I feel like I just talked. I didn't really break down the film like I should, and I will make up for that next week. Whoever the opponent is, because usually I go week by week. I don't even know who the Titans play after this. So whoever the opponent is, I'm going to break down more X's and O's, challenging myself, getting better in that department. And that's it. And usually I try to add in a lot of elements. I always say if I had a team, a lot of people would be out of work, in terms of if I had a ticker over here, if I had, lighting and all that good stuff. But that's to come if I follow the more media based. I'm really a guy that just loves scouting, and I'd rather be, lock me in a room and, allow me to watch tape, and we're going to win some championships more than likely, man, because I'm going to work my butt off. And, I don't have to be seen. I don't have to be heard, but until it's draft day or when it's time to, make these selections. So, I'm going to add like a fantasy element. Last week, I apologize to the people who I told to start Delaney Walker. Obviously he was held out because they were nursing that knee injury he had previously. For the people that started Austin Hooper, you're welcome. And I apologize for Calvin Ridley. They should target him more. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why, they're in the slump that they are. They're not distributing the target share. Remember that name or title. They need to redistribute the target share a little bit more to Calvin Ridley's way. A guy that, during the draft process, two players that I really weren't high on, Desmond Trufant and Calvin Ridley, had poor games versus Titans, but are solid players in this league. Trufant, obviously I thought was more of an athlete than a cover corner, showed in this game for whatever reason. Calvin Ridley, who I thought disappeared in some games, needed to get a little bigger and stronger, disappeared in that game. But very good players. I think the Falcons need to target more. I apologize for the people I told to start Delaney Walker and Calvin Ridley, but I got you on Derrick Henry and Austin Hooper, though. So give me kudos on that. They had solid flex position type of points for that. Fantasy football as well. In this game, I think a sleeper would be if Devin Singletary can go, him. Basically, Bills running backs, Gore and Singletary. Based on the Tennessee Titans defense, they've struggled, not historically, but every once in a while they'll give up a big one. So, a good 30-yard, 40, 50-yard run, depending on where you're at on the football field, can get you the quick 10 points, depending on where they are on the football field, if they score, or can get you a good 5 points quick. So you got to start the Bills running backs. I know it seems like it's not going to be that type of game, but I think that you got to start them, especially in this projected close matchup. So Frank Gore, Devin Singletary, if you're a Bills fan. Sleeper for the Bills starting them on fantasy, I say is John Brown. I think they're going to take some shot plays, whether it be Josh Allen or Matt Barkley. I still think they're not going to be passive in that stint. I think the target shares will probably go Cole Beasley's way, but I think Logan Ryan is probably going to man up on him. Beasley can be a pest because if he's so quick twitch. So he might get catches, but I wouldn't bank on a lot of yards. John Brown is the guy that might have less catches but more yards. So sleeper John Brown. And then as far as the Tennessee Titans, I think Derrick Henry, if the Tennessee Titans use stretch plays and kind of get that rhythm going and are relentless, I think he can have a good low. Not saying he's going to have 20 plus. I'm just saying, much like last week, I think you can get a double-digit point performance from Derrick Henry as a flex position. I'm not so sure you should start him as your RB1, RB2, however your league is formulated, but I think you can get points from him. In terms of who is going to be successful, I wouldn't do most Titans receivers in this game. I think if Delaney Walker is healthy, I think he has an opportunity. And I don't know who of the Tennessee Titans receivers are going to score. To be completely honest, this changes up. There's so much inconsistency there. And versus this defense, I'm not sure who you should start other than Derrick Henry in terms of a low flex double-digit situation there. So I'm not going to tell you anybody but Derrick Henry, and then Frank Gore and Devin Singletary, Bills running backs, and a possible X factor with John Brown. And if the Titans have that X factor in terms of fantasy, I would say just simply off of his past performance versus these type of defenses, when they run zone, A.J. Brown. Hopefully Adam Humphries makes an appearance somewhere. So I think I've given you guys a good rundown. More podcasts to come outside of football, as well as the recap of this game later in the week. Thanks for tuning in. If you like it, comment, subscribe, share. Appreciate the support. You guys have a great rest of the week. God bless. Assembling Titans. Thanks.